And welcome to On the Go. You know, at the onset of the show, we want to talk about things that you can do right in your own backyard. Of course, Montgomery, Alabama is our backyard. And there's wonderful things to do here. When I have out-of-town guests come to visit Montgomery, one of the first things I do is put them in a car, and I drive out to the Blunt Cultural Park for the awe factor. You come around the corner, bingo, there's the Shakespeare Festival. But how many of you have never seen the Shakespeare Festival or other attractions? Today we have with us Meg Lewis, the Director of Brand Development and Special Projects for the Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce.
That's right.
Your car's not big enough for all that.
That's true.
It's amazing. But Meg, we were talking about the fact that, you know, especially as some of our viewers get older, they get a little concerned about travel. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're going into a strange city, or even especially if you go overseas. But there's plenty to do right in Montgomery for the kids as well as the grandchildren.
That's right. You know, the summertime months are a great time to have people into town to visit with you and to show off, like you said, your own backyard. And people from all over the world have been discovering Montgomery.
That's right.
Over 400,000 new visitors have come just in the last year. Visitor spending is way up, and there's no reason that we as locals shouldn't be enjoying it just as much as they are.
That's right.
So I've put together a couple of concepts, some ideas of ways to put together maybe a day or two to enjoy with your family or with people that are visiting from out of town. And speaking of new people coming to town, there are some new attractions and experiences to have in Montgomery. And the primary one that's on everyone's mind is, of course, the Equal Justice Initiative, Legacy Museum, and Memorial to Peace and Justice. This has been the primary attractor. This is what has gotten so much national attention. There's recently been an HBO special about their founder, Brian Stevenson. So on everyone's mind, and you can experience it here in Montgomery. I would say starting the day with that, I'd recommend going to the Legacy Museum first.
Right, I agree.
Gives you a ton of background, history. There's some real, some emotional experiences they're going to have there. This is not an easy thing. You need to be mentally prepared when you go in for this.
So this is something that would be for maybe, if I'm going to bring grandchildren, they need to be about 14 years age and older?
Probably so, depending on what your family tends to discuss around the dinner table and how ready they are for some of this. This is very serious human history that's being discussed, and a lot of it very relevant to the geographic location that we're in now. But certainly for an older child who's understood some history of American history.
Well, it's a civil rights trail kind of thing, so you need to, I think, discuss with your children some of the background about civil rights, so you have a little prep before you go. And it's right there on Coosa Street, like just right next to Central, basically.
Sure is, yes.
And wow, the other thing that I was surprised at, Megan, is I think what the tickets for both the Legacy Museum, and there's a shuttle, this is really great, that runs right from the Legacy Museum up to the memorial.
That's right.
And I think the tickets for both were $8, if I remember.
Yeah, I think if you put them together, it might be 11. It's very affordable. It was
amazing.
Yes, and they make it easy for you to get from one place to the other. The memorial itself is up in Cottage Hill. You could walk it if everyone is enjoying a walking day, but with it being kind of hot, a shuttle would be nice. They also have a gift shop and a bookstore, so if you need to kind of take a minute in between. I'd recommend grabbing lunch that day over at Cahaba House. That's very near to everything, over on Court Street near the fountain. This is a local family, a brother and sister they're interpreting their family recipes, so it's Southern. And then afterwards, you know, talking about new things. If you haven't experienced it yet, heading over, you said the Blunt Cultural Park, the museum's new sculpture garden just opened last summer. Beautiful, and again, that is something you could take children of any age to.
Because obviously the museum is set up for kids too. It's of course this summer the Shakespeare Festival is basically dark. They're not doing any performances, but if there's performances, usually in the summer they're doing something that's for kids.
That's right. Yes, and you know, if you plan your little adventure on a weekend, you could do brunch at the museum, see the sculpture garden, go see. They have new acquisitions as well that they've just recently announced that you could check out. Those relate a little bit to civil rights history too, so it's relevant if you've done the Equal Justice Initiative stuff. And then you could go, and if you can't see a show at ASF, go look up the Cloverdale Playhouse, see if there's something happening at the Performing Arts.
A lot of flavor in Old Historic District.
Yes, and speaking Speaking of flavor, craft beer is the hottest thing.
Right,
you know?
Yes.
right.
And we have a production brewery in Montgomery now, Common Bond Brewing, and they are fantastic.
They're next door to the pizza place.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So for dinner, say you're downtown, you
Yep.
want to try something new.
Okay.
They do a wonderful job. They brew all that beer there on site. The brewers there are very involved in the process. They're usually on site if you wanted to ask about the beer, do a tasting, and then the pizza next door, they will just bring it right over to you. And if you're into beer and music, live music and good food, Goat House Beer Garden, which is up on
Yes.
Clay Street, one of those beautiful Victorian homes, and that's a great place to end up your night.
Okay, we're going to get you come back for the next couple of weeks because there's a lot to talk about. We can't get it all in one show. But really quickly, if they want information, the website is?
Go to visitingmontgomery.com. That is the best
Very
way
easy.
to find all of those
Great.
attractions and build an itinerary.
That's okay. So don't pack, but just pack maybe a light lunch or just bring a bottle of water and go on your staycation right here in Montgomery. We'll be right back right after this.